Greetings, fam. This is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. So let me tell you, I literally just started this live, and I don't know if y'all can hear in the background, but somebody pulled the fire alarm in my apartment complex. And I've got every door closed, every window closed, and it's still loud as hell. So I don't know if that's gonna mess up my live, but I was like, fuck it, I'm still gonna do this live because I'm not gonna have any other time to do it tonight or tomorrow because I'm busy. So hold on just a second. Yeah, I'm busy. So hopefully it's not. Oh, somebody figured it out. Okay, great, awesome, great. Okay. So anyway, again, my name is Cassandra Floyd, also known as the Daughter of the Fates, founder of the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. And I want to do a live today. I'm going to, as it's entitled, I'm going to do a reading from Beyond God the Father and Toward a Philosophy of Women's Liberation. But there are some other things I want to discuss. I may do the reading. I may do the reading first because I have a tendency to be doing these long ass intros, and I don't even know if people get to the reading or hang on that long. Greetings, Goddess Kaja and Claudia Ankara, Knowledge Born Allah, Trail of Freedom. So yeah, I think I'm gonna do the reading first. There's some things that I want to talk to you about, and I think I'm going to reserve that for the end for a change. So for those of you who've been following along, I am reading Beyond God the Father and Toward a Philosophy of Women's Liberation by Mary Daly. Man, this shit is slow coming. It's like the longer books, the bigger books I've read straight through. This one we've been on, I didn't even realize how long we've been on this book, and it's just like... And it's because I do so many interventions during the book. So I'm going to try to do a straight read through. If there's something that I absolutely have to stop to address, I will. But right now, we stopped, I think 2 days ago, at the top of page 86, within the section entitled Prophetic Dimensions of the Image of Mary. So we're on page 86, and we're in the first paragraph, okay? I've already pointed out that the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception of Mary, as it became formulated, reinforced the imagery of sexism to the extent that it was seen in the context of preparing her to become the mother of Jesus, who saved her, so to speak, in advance. However, when the idea itself of Mary's being conceived free of original sin is selectively perceived, it can convey an entirely different meaning. It can be understood as a negation of the myth of feminine evil, a rejection of religion's fall into servitude to patriarchy. It then functions as a prophetic intimation of the fall that is yet on its way, that I have pointed to in the preceding chapter. This is the feared fall beyond patriarchy's good and evil, in which women no longer bear the burden of the scapegoat's role. Seen outside its normal context, the symbol of the Immaculate Conception foreshadows the coming fall into the sacred, in which women are conceived as free from the crippling burden of submersion in the role of the other, and therefore are able to bring the human psyche beyond the pseudo-sacred of oppressive symbols and values. In connection with the dogma of the Immaculate Conception, it is important to note its slowness in becoming official doctrine in Catholicism. Thomas Aquinas, a fairly consistent patriarch in this matter, rejected the doctrine. He insisted that if the Blessed Virgin had never incurred the stain of original sin, she would not have needed redemption and salvation, which is by Christ. But this is unfitting, through implying that Christ is not the Savior of all men. Yet Aquinas taught that the Virgin was sanctified in her mother's womb after animation. This way, he could assert her specialness while at the same time claiming that she was cleansed by the grace of Christ. If the soul of the Blessed Virgin had never incurred the stain of original sin, this would be derogatory to the dignity of Christ, by reason of his being the universal Savior of all. This position coincides with that of Saint Bernard, Peter Lombard, Alexander of Hales, Albert the Great, and Saint Bonaventure. There was, however, a movement in progress at the time, chiefly in England, in favor of the doctrine of the Immaculate Conception. Due to the influence of Thomas Anselm, the doctrine was matured by Eadmer, Nicholas of St. Albans, Osber of Clare, Robert of Grosseteste, Bishop of Lincoln, and William of Ware, who was the master of Duns Scotus. For centuries, the question remained unresolved. Many continued to fear that it would place Mary on a par with Jesus. Finally, the doctrine was made official by Pope Pius the 11th. Pope Pius XI's bull Ineffabilis on December 8th of 1854. The resistance of some Catholics and the shocked horror of Protestants indicates that they dimly glimpsed the unintended threat to male supremacy. The defenders of the doctrine, having no conscious intention whatever of relinquishing Christ's supremacy, claimed that this was not contradicted, since the grace of redemption might at the same time be one of preservation and prevention. It can be seen then that the doctrine has given out contradictory messages. As doctrine, it reinforces the sexual caste, as I have pointed out in the preceding section. As freewheeling symbol, however, it can be read in another light. It can be seen as reflecting the power and influence of the Mother Goddess symbol, which Christianity was never able to wipe out entirely. Sprung free from its Christolatrous context, it says that, conceived free of original sin, the female does not need to be saved by the male. The symbol, then, can be recognized as having been an infiltrator into sexist territory, an unrecognized harbinger of new being. Greetings, everyone. FG Apothecary and Janet Kennedy, Luther Powell. Let's see. The doctrine of the Assumption also can be seen as having a prophetic content interwoven within its sexist content. The doctrine was officially proclaimed by Pope Pius XII in the apostolic Constitution, Munificentissimus, on November 1st of 1950. It was taught that the Virgin was taken up body and soul into heavenly glory upon completion of her earthly sojourn. Of course, the doctrine was encased in a Christocentric context. It was reaffirmed in chapter 8 of Lumen Gentium with the comment that, quote, she was exalted by the Lord as queen of all in order that she might be the more thoroughly conformed to her son, the Lord of Lords, and the conqueror of sin and death, end quote. The Catholic theologians have maintained that the use of the term assumption for Mary as opposed to ascension for Jesus is significant, for the latter term is active, suggesting that Jesus went up under his own power, whereas assumption is passive. Mary was taken up. While this jargon supports sexual hierarchy, there is another message in the symbol, not consciously recognized by its proponents. Some insight on the prophetic aspect of the assumption can be gained from C.J. Young, who, years before the dogma was proclaimed, wrote, quote, "But since the woman, as well as evil, is excluded from the deity in the dogma of the Trinity, the element of evil would also form a part of the religious symbol. If the latter should be quanternity, it needs no particular effort in imagination to guess the far-reaching spiritual consequences of such development," end quote. Young was accurately aware of the phenomena of the extreme dichotomizing of good and evil in the human psyche in Western society. A reflection of this is the concept of the supernatural that I have already described, in which the good God requires the existence of a devil. The devil, of course, is projected upon others. Young observes that it is highly moral people unaware of their other side who develop peculiar irritability and hellish moods which make them insupportable of their relatives. Damn. On a massive scale, he recognized the violent eruption of unacknowledged, unconscious forces in the massacre of the Jews in Nazi Germany. He saw that the split requires a healing, for evil has us in its grips. God damn. Yo. He saw that the split within each human being requires a healing, for evil has us in its grips. In his late thoughts, he wrote, whoa. Damn. In his late thoughts, he wrote, quote, "The only ray of light is Pius XII and his dogma, but people do not even know what I am referring to when I say this." Young, of course, was referring to the image of Mary, woman, rising towards incorporation in the divinity, which for him implied bringing up matter and evil. Essentially, the insight of Young here is acknowledgement of the destructiveness caused by the degradation of women in this religious imagination. The ray of hope that he saw was nowhere to be found in Judaism or Protestantism, for in the Protestant and Jewish fears of the Father continues to dominate as much as ever. While it would be unfortunate and incongruous for radical feminism to espouse a dogmatic Jungian ideology, the insights of Young on such matters as the dogma of the Assumption are sometimes helpful. Young, of course, was not free from the biases of patriarchy himself, and his language can reinforce stereotypic thinking. In spite of this, his intuitions and clues deserve careful attention. The Assumption symbol, as is the case with the Immaculate Conception, presents itself in a context that ensures the subordination of the female. It could hardly be otherwise in an institution so determinedly sexist as Roman Catholicism. Yet the fact of the double message is not entirely lost upon women, and certainly not upon the most vigorous opponents, both Protestant and Catholic, of such Marian excesses. Apparently, the group totally immune to insight into its ambivalent character is the official body of Catholic ecclesiastical orthodoxy, and this immunity is very likely only on the level of explicit conscious rationality. In itself, the image of Mary rising says something. Young thought that the dogma of the Assumption suggested a kind of rounding off of the problematic Trinitarian symbol, so that Mary becomes the fourth person of the Trinity. Although this interpretation obviously would be rejected by ecclesiastical proponents of the dogma, Young is probably right in his belief that symbols have a kind of life of their own. He thought that the Assumption was a hopeful sign of the collective psyche's effort to He thought that the Assumption was a hopeful sign of the collective psyche's effort to overcome a shallow and rigid dichotomizing of good and evil. Symbolically and socially, women have been identified with matter, sex, and evil. Young saw the Assumption as saying no to these assumptions, challenging the false innocence of the God and the godly whose identity depends upon non-identification with women. You, God damn. Oh my God. Damn. Listen, the innocence of God and the godly persons whose identity depends upon their non-identification with women. God damn. Woo. While the Jungian insight concerning the dogma in relation to the Trinitarian symbol is interesting, it leaves us, so to speak, up in the air. For it seems not to take into account the fact that it was the most oppressive and sexist of the Christian churches, at one of the most oppressive times in the history and under one of its most oppressive popes, that presented us with this symbolic solace. Let's see. The same Pope Pius XII was simultaneously pouring forth voluminous utterances on the rightful place of woman in society, that is, having an uncontrollable number of babies and serving her male master in dutiful submission. To this, a Jungian would no doubt answer that the Pope's unconscious, which generated the symbol, had a sort of will of its own. That is, the answer would be that the Pope literally did not know what he was saying. I see no reason to disagree with that. However, the analysis needs further development. The extreme dichotomy between quasi-prophetic symbolic exaltation and the social degradation of women by the Roman Catholic Church can, of course, be analyzed in terms of compensation mechanisms, compensation for the women being held down, and compensation for a celibate all-male clergy seeking the spiritual essence of their undiscovered other halves. God, oh shit, oh my God, damn. However, I think the most important aspect of the phenomenon has to do with the harnessing of women. Come on in the room, Mary. Yo. However, I think the most important aspect of the phenomenon has to do with the harnessing of women's power by this quintessentially hierarchical and sexist institution. Especially in its periods of greatest desperation, it has tried to capture female presence and power in a symbol. Using this to captivate the psyches of women and men, god damn it, mesmerizing them, binding them in unquestioning loyalty to itself. Oh my God. Damn. Shit. Yeah, damn. For it is not the owner and manipulator of the marionette that is so attractive to the masses, casting its spell upon them, luring them into the churchy father's suffocating embrace. Ah, God damn it. Whoa, 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 whoa. Shit. Oh my God. Y'all, I do not know if you recall, but just a few days ago, when was the last time I did a live? 2, 3, 4 days ago? I don't remember. But I was talking briefly in that live and other lives for that matter about this particular one. I was talking about the ritual that we casted upon that motherfucking mountain on November 19th and how this ritual was it was gangster, but it paled into the conspiracy. Damn, it paled in comparison to the conspiracies that have been waged against us, the spells that have been perpetually and unendingly cast against us, right? Remember me talking about that? Talking about how brothers miss the boat when they be seeing the Pope, in the Vatican, this giant statue, which is the Black Madonna, holding the baby, and he is apparently praying to the Black Madonna, kissing the feet of the Black Madonna. Y'all remember that conversation we just had a couple of days ago, right? And I was like, you missed the boat. Because the brothers will say, see, even they know that the Black woman is God. You feel me? And you remember I said, no, this is spell casting. This is a binding fucking ritual the Pope is doing. This is a ritual he is doing to bind the power, to prevent the emergence of the great primordial she. You feel me? Remember when I said that? Remember this whole conversation that we had about how for hundreds of years the men in Islam, whatever Islam's personification, they look forward to this point in their life when they can make their Hajj to Mecca and they too can circle around counterclockwise widdershins around the black box, the Kaaba, right? With the hopes of being one of the masses that gets close enough to kiss the Kaaba. Remember I said that? And we was talking about like, damn, there's got to be a spell. This kissing aspect, the kissing of the feet, the kissing of the Kaaba, when these images all center around mother. You feel me? Remember I said that? And then since then, over the last few days, y'all been sending me all kind of emails about the spiritual significance of kissing, the spell casting inherent in kissing, but betrayal in kissing, the symbol of kissing. You feel me? Remember I said that? How are we going to read today? She talks about what the most important aspect that we need to be talking about in 1973 is the phenomenon that has to do with the harnessing of women's power by this quintessentially hierarchical and sexist institution. Islam, Catholicism, Protestantism, and goddamn Judaism. It's quintessentially hierarchical and sexist. So if it's quintessentially hierarchical and sexist, are they worshiping the Black Madonna? Are they, because what she's saying here is, are they worshiping the Virgin Mary? She's talking about Mary, right? But I'm saying across the board, are they worshiping the Madonna? Are they worshiping the Virgin Mary? Are they worshiping the Kaaba? Are they worshiping the Wailing Wall? Now that they are quintessentially hierarchical and sexist, if feminine, if they have feminine symbols, feminine symbols anywhere up in tradition, it behooves us to assume that they are using these feminine symbols as a spell, as a binding ritual, a ritual of mission, as a ritual of forgetting. Because she talks here about how the church greatest failure is its inability to wipe completely away from the consciousness of human beings the goddess that Mary represents, the ancient goddess, the old goddess that Mary represents. That's why Catholicism kept Mary, and then they had to do all these workings of her role as the progenitor to Jesus, because people were not willing to relinquish completely their image restored relationship with the goddess. Here she's right here. Especially in its periods of greatest desperation. Can we say 2025, 2024, 2025? In its periods of greatest desperation, it has tried to capture. Come on in the motherfucking room. God damn it. Let me grab my pen. Damn it. Listen, if Mary in 1973 wasn't talking about prophetically 2024. It says right here, especially in its periods of greatest desperation, the church, has tried to capture female presence and power by using symbol. Listen to the word up in here today. In its greatest, what did I say? That we should revel whenever patriarchy, whenever white nationalism rears its ugly head without disguise, without mask, butt naked and in full effect, aka Trump, aka Elon Musk, aka what's his name? What's his name? Putin, what's his name? Name a male, you feel me? The dude in China, what's his name? The dude in North Korea, what's his name? We should revel whenever patriarchy becomes so desperate that it cannot even hide itself. It cannot even camouflage its true intentions, its true nature. Because it says here, in patriarchy's greatest desperation, when it has tried to capture female presence and power in symbol, using this to captivate the minds and psyches of women and men, mesmerizing them, binding them in unquestioning loyalty to itself. For it is not the owner and manipulator of the marionette that is so attractive to the masses, casting its spell upon them, luring them into the churchly father's suffocating embrace. I told y'all a few days ago, that cracker, Pope Francis, made the declaration that for the next 10 years, the primary focus of the ambitions of the church is to re-evangelize the entire world. What does that mean? In 2024, just what she said here in 1973. That anything that they do when they are desperate is an attempt to win the masses back into the Father's suffocating embrace. That's what she said in 73. And I got every hair on my body standing on end, because I'll be goddamn if that is not what we are witnessing in real time. If that is not what we are witnessing in real time. She talking about the Catholic Church, but you can superimpose that on every last one of these patriarchal religions. They're so desperate. And who has forever, since the birth of patriarchy, has been its primary target? The female body. Its primary target is the female body. That does not mean exclusively. The target, the bullseye, right in the center is the female body. And then out from that, another target, and another, and another, and another. And everybody is included in that. Everybody is included in that. Black, white, brown, yellow, red, male, female, all the genders in between, babies, and the elderly. All of us are on the goddamn bullseye. But patriarchy's primary target, goddamn it, is not only the body of females, the body of black ass females. And then everybody circles out from there. The ripple goes out from there. This is what they say. This is what she said right here. 2 days after I do this live, telling y'all, man, we should not be despairing when we see patriarchy and white nationalism butt naked. This is the removal of the mask that I've been telling you about for 4 years. That Allah in her reign promises to remove the mask to reveal your enemies. That's the only way that you can seek true justice, true judgment, is to know for real who your enemies are, to know butt naked in full effect who your enemies are. The mask has to be removed. The veil has to be removed. All of y'all talking about wicked right now. The goddamn curtain that's been hiding the Wizard of Oz all this time, that motherfucker have to be pulled back so you can see exactly who your enemy is and what their weaknesses are. You should be reveling. You should be reveling whenever patriarchy, wherever white nationalism shows its butt naked, raw, animalistic, demonic fucking face. That way you know what you're up against. That way you know what the dual and contending response should be. Shh. Baby. The embraced reluctance of contemporary thinkers of Catholic background to confront the fact and meaning of the Marian excesses, especially in a Protestant or ecumenical, I don't know how to pronounce this, ecumenical environment, is hardly indicative of great progress in courage and insight. In fact, this amounts to failure to confront an extremely important phenomenon, the understanding of which would be profoundly threatening to Christiolatrous religion, pointing to a distant past that such religion has never been able to destroy completely, and to a future that may witness its death and burial. Come on in the room, Derek. Come on in the room, Mary Daly. Come on in the room. Mary and the Great Mother. We're on page 90 for those who have been following along. Hold on just a second. Damn. That's that bullshit. Whatever. Okay. All right. Claiming that revelation through the Virgin Mother Mary has come to an end, ceasing to create a revelatory situation, at least for Protestants, and comparing her to Apollo in this regard. Oh shit. Tillich poses the question, how can a real revelation come to an end? His response is that only the idolatrous side is destroyed, and that which is revelatory in it is preserved as an element in more embracing and more purified revelations. For Tillich, of course, the most embracing revelation is what he calls the final revelation, which is in the Christ. But the question I must raise is, why must that revelation, or for that matter, any particular revelation, be the final revelation? What if there has been another manifestation of transcendence whose history preceded the advent of Christianity by many thousands of years, which appeared under different names and forms, which survived in a covert way within Christianity and gave it its power over the human psyche? Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Oh shit! Goddamn! Okay. And what if this now is beginning, what if this is now beginning to come into its own again, foretelling a future of spiritual expansion beyond the scope of the Christian imagination's ability to envision? Christians who have been aware of ancient cults of the Great Mother have been most anxiously insistent that these should not be confused with the worship of Mary. Berdichev wrote, quote, "The cult of the Mother of God, of the Most Holy Virgin, is essentially distinct from the pagan worship of the female principle. It is worship of the womanhood, which is entirely illuminated and serene, which has achieved victory over the base element of femaleness." Oh my God. Damn. The text, end quote. The text, of course, is interesting for its frank claim that there is a base element of femaleness, a point discussed already in the preceding chapter. What is to the point here, however, is the insistence that the serene womanhood of Mary has achieved victory over this femaleness. Your talk about ritual surrounding the Black Madonna reminded me of how white fraternities have so much ritual surrounding them, and how all those politicians and businessmen come out of those circles. Yes, yes, yes. Let's see. One may ask what sort of victory the subordinated role of Mary in Christianity can possibly be. The logical conclusion is that the serenity of the Mary symbol, since it is always officially submerged in Christianity, has its source in the submersion and subordination that is required to purify the female element. The victory is that of the male. Oh shit. The victory is that of the male. Many will testify that it is the oatmeal quality of serenity imposed upon Mary in Christianity that has partially blinded them to the significance of the symbol itself. Even more to the point is Berdev's unproved assumption, hardly peculiar to himself, that the cult of the Mother of God is essentially distinct from the pagan worship of the Great Mother, which presumably contains a base and sinister element essential to femaleness that is purified by Christianity. God damn. Oh, shit. Yo. Child, she is going, listen, she going the fuck off. Damn. Ugh. Ugh. In regard to the insistence that Mary is essentially distinct from the Great Mother, it should be noted that countless persons have intuited something else. Typical of those who have experienced the amazing discovery of the autonomous power of Mary's image, often in spite of themselves, was Henry Adams, who, when traveling in Europe at the turn of the century, observed that the great cathedrals were built not to God, but to Mary. Admiring their significance, he was conscious of the force that created it all. Woo! Woo! Whoa! Whoa! Symbol, quote, symbol or energy, the Virgin had acted as the greatest force the Western world had ever felt. And had drawn men's activities to herself more strongly than any other power, natural or supernatural, had ever done. Hold on. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hold on. Let us revert to Barbara Walker. Barbara Walker. Hold, what Barbara Walker say? Let's see. What Barbara Walker say? Oh shit. What'd she say? What'd she say? What'd she say? What'd she say? Okay. What'd she say? Mm-hmm. Let's see what she say here. Oh. Hold on. Let's see. Okay, I don't think it has a, let's see. Okay, let's see here. All right. Okay. So let's see what she got to say here. I haven't read this, but I'm feeling I need to. So for those of you, listen, you can't. Okay. I'm reading quickly from Barbara Walker's The Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets. What she got to say about virgins? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Listen to what she got to say. Now, listen, based on what we just read, okay? Here, the only thing she has in this book about virgins is the Vestal virgins, priestesses of Rome's oldest goddess matriarch, Vesta, who was the same as the Greeks' Hestia, descendants of an ancient order of holy women who guarded the public hearth and altar. The Vestals were entrusted with keeping alight the perpetual fire that was the mystic heart of the empire. Oh, the Vestals were virgins, i.e., virgin meant women who vowed never to marry because they were the brides of the spirit of Rome, in the same sense that Christian nuns were the brides of Christ. It didn't mean they were not sexed. It meant they had never been married. Virgin. Vestals underwent the same ceremony that was later applied to nuns to limit their magic female powers. They had their God damn it! God damn it. Oh my God. Yo. Listen, the Vestals under Rome underwent the same ceremony that was later applied to nuns and Jewish women upon their wedding day to limit, God damn it, to limit their female magic powers. They had to shave their hair off to limit their magical female powers. In an earlier era, however, they were not so restricted. Like the other ancient priestesses who ruled by virtue of magic and motherhood, the Vestals used to be the governing sisterhood of Latium. Let's see. The Vestals were never virginal in the physical sense. Their marriage to the phallic deity of the Palladium was physically consummated in the Vestas temple. Remember, I told you that what they called the temple priestesses were temple harlots. They weren't virgins as in what we know, what we understand virgin to be. They were not unsexed. They had sex a lot, as a matter of fact, in the temple as temple harlot / priestesses. Okay. Their marriage to the phallic deity of the Palladium was physically consummated in the Vestas temple under conditions of great secrecy. The ceremony was performed by a priest called the Pontifex Maximus, the great maker of the ponds, which meant a bridge, a path, or a way. The Pontifex Maximus had what Zelle calls an obscure, now unknown duty toward the Vestal virgins. One might suppose that his way was something like the way of Eastern sex sacraments. That is, he built a bridge between Father Heaven and Mother Earth. Okay? I read that. Hold on, one more thing. Damn, I thought let's see. I thought I saved it. Here it is. What does she have to say over here? She talks about in the section called prostitution. She talks about how how the word charis, which is the Latin origin of the word charity or chastity, was actually a combination of mother love, tenderness, comfort, mystical enlightenment, and sex. Hesiod said that the sensual magic of the sacred whores mellowed the behavior of men. Ishtar, the great whore of Babylon, announced, "A prostitute, compassionate am I." Mary Magdalene said of her sisters in the profession, quote, "Not only are we compassionate of ourselves, but we are compassionate of all the races of mankind." Ancient harlots often commanded high social status and were revered for their learning. As the embodiments of the Queen of Heaven in Palestine, called Kedeshet, the great whore, the harlots were honored like queens at the center of learning in Greece and in the Asia Minor. Some even became queens. Okay? And it goes on and on and on. So those two things that I just read, y'all need to go back and revisit. Y'all need to go back and revisit the live that I did. I think it was over the summer. The live that I did called Resurrecting Sacred Prostitution. And also the live that I did on, I think it was called Hair. I don't remember, but hair was in the title. So go back over this, because I think I did them over the summer, to Resurrecting. It was like hair, menstruation, and something else, right? But go back to the two lives that I did. The one on sacred prostitution, I think, was one video, but the one on hair, it was like hair, Medusa, and menstrual blood. I think that ended up being 2 or 3 lives that I did. But first of all, what Barbara Moore just said was, and the reason I did the one on hair back in the day was because I told y'all it had been the source of great conflict in my Ile when I was a devotee of Ifa, that I had been told early on. Every reading that I had been told early on that I needed to become an initiate. I needed to get initiated, and it was urgent. And I said, okay, I'm not opposed to getting initiated, but I'm a need to get initiated in a way that does not require the ritual removal of my hair. Right now, at the time, my opposition to the ritual removal of my hair was the fact that at that time, which was around 2016, I had started digging deeply into ceremony with my indigenous ancestors, not just doing the things that I had been doing, like since I was a teenager, going to powwow and stuff like that, but like actually going into ceremony with my indigenous ancestors, because that too kept coming up in my Ifa readings, right? And so I was like, all right. And I never had no problem removing my hair. I've been bald headed like 4 times. You feel me? But in the tradition, people kept saying that I was being arrogant, that I was being vain. And that was the reason I was opposed to the ritual removal of my hair to become an initiate of Ifa. Okay. Then the more people started to like really shame me and condemn me and vilify me because of this position that I had taken about my refusal to ritually remove my hair in initiation, I was like, okay, I need to dig a little deeper into what's the origin. I even asked a priest once. I was like, what is the origin in West Africa of the ritual removal of hair for females to become initiated? Because my confusion was, if Ifa says, if the Odu say that females are born priests, females are born priests, then what would be the significance of the ritual removal of my hair to become an initiate? And I started digging deep into the history across cultures for the ritual removal of hair. And the oldest, I won't go that deep into it because I want to finish this reading, but the oldest incidences, at least that I have found, was in Kemet, right? The ritual removal of hair. And then we see throughout the histories, particularly. So even in this short reading that I did with Barbara Walker, talking about the Vestal Virgins, that's the reason I went to it in the first place, was this little section that she talks about here, in the section that we're reading in Beyond God the Father. The virgins, here she says, what's the guy's name? Let's see. What did he say? Henry Adams, when traveling in Europe at the turn of the century, observed the great cathedrals were built not to God, but to Mary. Admiring their magnificence, he was conscious of the force that created them all. Quote, symbol or energy, the virgin. Who is the virgin? Who she has been saying that they have been denying all along, right? That Mary is not the virgin of old, the great mother of old. She is a representative of the victory over the mother, the victory of, what did he call it? The base element inherent in femaleness. Okay. So the virgin is the Mary that has subdued the mother. But the virgin, according to what Barbara Walker just said in the Women's Encyclopedia of Myths and Secrets, is the mother, is the temple harlot, is the temple whores, is the what? Great whore of Babylon. Symbol or energy, the virgin had acted as the greatest, force the Western world had ever felt, and had drawn men's activities towards herself more strongly than any other power, natural or supernatural, had ever done. So who is the virgin that he is talking about? Is it really the Virgin Mary? Or is it who she represents? Who is it who she symbolizes? She, who? That came to earth on a shell, that is replete throughout every mythology on earth. Even the natives in the Western Hemisphere here, on the western side of the United States, all have these similar stories of their great creator goddess who came to earth on an abalone shell and allowed herself to become pregnant by the sun, the sun. This is when she started to have male children. That up until that point, she had turned on herself and only given birth to daughters. And it is when she allowed herself to be impregnated by the sun that she started to give birth to males, or quote, mankind. This story exists everywhere, even in Catholicism. What about the Venus who comes to earth on the shell? What about Yemaya, who emerges from the sea on a shell? Oshun has a story where she too is on a shell. I'm just saying. Anyway, so he says, witnessing all of the great cathedrals in Europe, symbol or energy, the Virgin had acted as the greatest force the Western world had ever felt, and had drawn men's activity to herself more strongly than any other power, natural or supernatural, had ever done. End quote. The identity between the image of Mary, despite all the official attempts to domesticate her, and something more ancient and universal than Christianity, need not be left to the realm of unverifiable intuition, however. Elizabeth Good Davis, in her well-documented and groundbreaking book, The First Sex, writes, quote, the church seemed doomed to failure, destined to go down to bloody death amidst the bleeding corpses of its victims when the people discovered Mary. And only when Mary, against the stern decrees of the church, was dug out of the oblivion to which Constantine had assigned her and had become identified with the great goddess, was Christianity finally tolerated by the people. Oh. Davis claims that it was the discovery attributed to St. Patrick that the pagans would accept Christ only if they could have Mary that changed the official policy toward Mary in the church. In the people's minds, this was the great goddess who, as E.O. James writes, is, quote, of many names, but one personality. She has had a power which Davis contrasts with the artificiality and rootlessness of the Olympian gods, as of the Jewish and Christian God, whose artificiality derives from the fact that they were contrived, deliberately invented by patriarchs to replace the ancient great goddess. For Davis, the only reality in Christianity is Mary, is the female principle, is the ancient goddess reborn. Oh, 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 oh my God. Listen. Now, is anybody else thinking right away about what, let's see, about what, Mama Zogbe said in, damn, why I keep misplacing this book? I think I just be carrying it everywhere. And what Mama Zogbe said in the book, The Sibyls, the first prophetesses of Mami Wata and the theft of African prophecy by the Roman Catholic Church. Doesn't Samson lose his hair when he loses his hair in that book? Loses his power when he loses his hair in that book? Absolutely. Yes, he does. Right? Let's see. So it's all about the consumption of women's power. Absolutely. Yes. Okay. Mayan Mama, Bero 88, C Interconfetti, Alex Head Worms, everybody that came in late, greetings, BS Smith With 101, Inkua Tata Motivation, everybody that came in, Luther Powell 588, everybody that came in late, thank you so much. For those of you who are tuning in late, I am reading from Beyond God the Father and Toward a Philosophy of Women's Liberation by Mary Daly. Shy Boy Shades, Vass, Claudia Ankra, everybody on YouTube, those tuning in via IG, thank you so much. We're on page 92 for those of you who have the book and have been following along. That last paragraph was fire. I don't necessarily know that you internalized the amount of fire that last paragraph was. So we're going to go to the next paragraph. Okay. It's called The Great Silence, or the next section. The universal and irrational belief that there is a base element in femaleness reflects man's underlying fear and dread of women, to which Karen Horney referred, pointing out that it is remarkable that so little attention is paid to this phenomenon. More and more evidence of this fear, dread, and loathing is being unearthed by feminist scholars every day, revealing a universal misogynism which, in all major cultures in recorded patriarchal history, has permeated the thought of seemingly rational and civilized great men, saints, philosophers, poets, doctors, scientists, statesmen, sociologists, revolutionaries, and novelists. A quasi-infinite catalog could be compiled of quotes from the male leaders of civilization revealing this universal dread, expressed sometimes as loathing, sometimes as belittling ridicule, sometimes as patronizing contempt. What has not received enough attention, however, is the silence about women's history. Oh, here we go. I do not refer primarily to the great silence concerning the acts of women under patriarchy, the failure to record or even to acknowledge the creative activity of great women and talented women. However, this is extremely significant and should be attended to. A typical case was Thomas More's brilliant daughter, Margaret. Men simply refused to believe that she was the author of her own writings. It was supposed that certainly she could not have done it without the help of a man. There were the women authors, e.g., George Eliot, George Sand, the Brontes, who could only get acceptance for their writings by disguising their sex under the pen name of a man. A reasonably talented woman today need only reflect honestly upon her own personal history in order to understand how the dynamics of wiping women out of history operate. Women who give women who give cogent arguments concerning the oppression of women before male audiences. Let's see. Sorry about that for those who were watching via IG. I have to stop every hour. They're going to stop my recording and then I'll have to come back on. Okay, so anyway, let's see. A reasonably talented woman today need only reflect honestly upon her own personal history in order to understand how the dynamics of wiping women out of history operate. Women who give cogent arguments concerning the oppression of women before male audiences repeatedly hear reports that, quote, they were not able to defend their position. Words such as flip, slick, or polemic are used to describe carefully researched feminist writings. I point to this phenomena of the wiping out of women's contributions within the context of patriarchal history because it means that we must consciously develop a new sense of pride and confidence with full knowledge of these mechanisms and of the fact that we cannot believe the history books that tell us implicitly that women are nothing. I point to it also because we have to overcome the hyper cautiousness. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. God damn it. The hyper consciousness, not to be confused, cautiousness, not to be confused with striving for accuracy that keeps us from strongly affirming our own history and thereby recreating history. Greetings, those of you who are coming back on IG. Like I said, they stop me at every hour, so I have to come back on. I refer to the silence about women's historical existence since the dawn of patriarchy also because this opens the way to overcoming another great silence, that is, concerning the increasing indications that there was a universally matriarchal world which prevailed before the descent into hierarchical dominion by men or by males. Having experienced the obliterating process in our own histories and having come to recognize its dynamics within patriarchal history, which is pseudo-history to the degree that it has failed to acknowledge women, we have a basis for suspecting that the same dynamics operate to belittle and wipe out arguments for and evidence of the matriarchal period. Oh. Eric Fromm wrote, quote, the violence of the antagonism against the theory of matriarchy arouses the suspicion that it is based on an emotional prejudice against an assumption so foreign to the thinking and feeling of our patriarchal culture, end quote. While of itself such violence of antagonism obviously does not prove that the position so despised is correct, the very force of the attacks should arouse suspicions about the source of the oppression or the opposition. It is important not to become super cautious and hesitant in looking at the evidence offered for ancient matriarchy. It is essential to be aware that we have been conditioned to fear proposing any theory that supports feminism. Hold on just a second. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any work. Okay, no, okay. Let's see. The writings supporting the matriarchal theory produced many decades ago are receiving new attention. These early contributions included the works of Bachofen, Lewis Henry Morgan, Robert Briffault, and Jane Harrison. They point not only to the existence of universal matriarchy, but also to the evidence that it was basically a different kind of society from patriarchal culture, being egalitarian rather than hierarchical and authoritarian. Bakunin claimed that matriarchal culture recognized but one, Bakunin claimed that matriarchal culture recognized but one purpose in life, human felicity. The scholarly proponents of the matriarchal theory maintained that this kind of culture was not bent on the conquest of nature or of other human beings. In brief, it was not patriarchy spelled with an M. Okay. This is an important point since many who are antagonistic to women's liberation ignorantly and unimaginatively insist that the result will be the same kind of society with women, quote, on top. On top. God damn it. On top thinking, imagining, and acting is essentially patriarchal. Elizabeth Good Davis points out that the recent archaeological discoveries support these early theories to a remarkable extent. She shows that archaeologists have fended to right of their discoveries that women were predominant in each of the spaces of research, as if this must be a unique case. She maintains that altogether these archaeological finds prove that feminine preeminence was a universal and not a localized phenomenon. Davis further comments upon detailed reports that have been made on 3 prehistoric towns in Anatolia. Mersin, Hakalar, and Katal Hayuk. She concludes that in all of them, the message is clear and unequivocal. Ancient society was gynocratic and its deity was feminine. There is an accumulation of evidence then in support of Bakunin's theory of our gynocentric origins and for the primary worship of a female deity. The second coming of women and the Antichrist. I thought I was going to stop, but goddamn. Oh my God. Here we go. The absurd story of Eve's birth is an excellent example of a process that is prevalent in men's treatment of women and their accomplishments throughout the history of patriarchy. I shall simply call this phenomenon the reversal. In some cases, it is blatantly silly, as in the case of insistence that a male was the original mother and that God, a male, revealed this. In other instances, it has been pseudo-biological, as in the centuries-long insistence that women are misbegotten males, a notion refuted by modern genetic research, which demonstrates that it would be far more accurate to designate the male produced by a Y chromosome, which is an incomplete X chromosome, as a misbegotten female. Very commonly, it consists simply in stealing women's ideas and assuming credit for them. Oh! That is denial by men that the ideas ever came from their female originators. Many women are aware of this happening in their own lives, and many have consciously allowed it to happen in the belief that this was the only way of getting acceptance for an idea or a plan, and that the latter was more important than credit for its authorship. I suggest that it is time not only to become conscious of this phenomenon, but also to end complicity in its continuance. The idea and actualization of feminism is far more important than any idea that could succeed through such self-abnegating and humiliating tactics. We should also consider the possibility that the reversal phenomena has taken place in assertions that Christianity has raised the status of women and affirmed our dignity. Okay. Women who have attempted to be, quote, feminist and at the same time Christians have generally gone along with this, believing that Christianity did advance the cause of women in the past, but that it now oddly lags behind. However, the record of barbarous cruelty to women in Christendom hardly gives unequivocal support to this kind of apologetic. Christian theology widely Christian theology widely asserted that women were inferior, weak, depraved, and vicious. The logical consequences of this opinion were worked out in a brutal set of social arrangements that shortened and crushed the lives of women. I propose that another form of reversal has been the idea of redemptive incarnation, uniquely in the form of a male savior. For as already indicated, this is precisely what is impossible. A patriarchal divinity or his son is exactly not in a position to save us from the horrors of a patriarchal world. Come on in the room, man. Come on in the room. Does this mean then that the women's movement points to, seeks, or in some way constitutes a rival to the Christ? Shit. Yo. Goddamn. On another, but Yo. Goddamn. Shh. Oh. Damn. Listen, y'all. On another but related level, Michelet wrote that the priest has seen. Damn. Listen. On another note, but related, level, Michelet wrote that the priest has seen in the witch an enemy, a menacing rival. In its depth, because it contains a dynamic that drives beyond Christolatry, the women's movement does point to, seek, and constitute the primordial, always present, and future fucking Antichrist. God damn! Oh shit. Oh. God. Oh. Listen, I propose that another form of reversal has been the idea of redemptive incarnation, uniquely in the form of a male savior, for as already indicated, this is precisely what is impossible. A patriarchal divinity or his son is exactly not in a position to save us from the horrors of a patriarchal world. Does this mean then that the women's movement points to, seeks, or in some way constitute a rival to the Christ? Come on in the fucking room. On another but related level, Michelet wrote that the priest has seen in the witch an enemy, a menacing rival. In its depth, because it contains a dynamic that drives beyond Christolatry, the women's movement does point to, seek, and constitute the primordial, always present, and future Antichrist. It does this by breaking the great silence. Raising up female pride, recovering lost female history, healing and bringing into the open female presence. God damn it. Woo, shit. Yo, listen. Woo. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. Let me tell y'all something. There's so much in this paragraph. First, let me say that when she opens by saying the idea of another reversal is the redemptive incarnation, uniquely in the form of a male savior, whether it's God himself or his son, you feel me? Or his representatives on earth. That this is impossible to be saved or offered salvation by the faces of patriarchy itself. And then she's saying this in 1973, right? And I just told y'all 3 days ago, I just told y'all at the beginning of this live before I started reading this book that the target from day one of patriarchy is the female body. And then everybody out from that. The female body is the always. I don't care what they talking about in the news. I don't care what's made headlines. I don't care what has distracted your attention. The primary target of patriarchy 6,000 years ago and today is the female body, and patriarchy's insane idea that it is entitled to all that the female body possesses and creates. That's why your ass is a slave, because patriarchy feels entitled to that which your mama produced. You feel me? On the one, here we are 3 weeks out from this election that's got all of y'all in y'all feelings. But Trump is a representation. Trump is a self-proclaimed and held up. He self-proclaims, but that self-proclamation is held up by the millions who put him in office. He is self-proclaimed the savior that is going to, quote, make America great again. And what did we say earlier in this book? What did she say earlier in this book? This was a few weeks back. How'd she say? That while no matter what the female does, no matter how many labors she does, no matter how much suffering she gleefully does, no matter how much work she does, she is always presumed guilty. And at the same time, no matter what crimes males commit, no matter the gravity of the crimes, no matter the sinister nature of the crimes, absolution is granted to males as what? The representatives of God the Father on earth. You feel me? What did she say? Damn. I don't want to go too far back, but she said that. And so here, people are having great political analysts and thinkers, great debaters are having these long ass conversations, if Trump had been black, you feel me? And here it is. She say, let's see. This is females as the scapegoat in Christianity. She says, this imposed incapacity to identify ritually with the supreme scapegoat in the sense of officially and actively offering the sacrifice of the cross, right? Or in fact, participating officially in any ministry in Roman Catholicism may at first seem inconsistent with women's victimized roles within Christianity. Women, however, a closer analysis reveals a basic consistency. As the powerless victims of the scapegoat psychology, women are deprived of the credit for the sacrifice and the dignity of taking an active role in the sacrifice. Women are not the innocent victims offering themselves in immolation for the sins of others, as Christian theology has imagined Jesus. In fact, the blame is never lifted from the female sex. Those in the official priesthood share the innocence and active dignity of the Christ, however. Women, though encouraged to imitate the sacrificial love of Jesus and thus willingly accept the victim's role, remain essentially identified with Eve and evil. Salvation comes only through the males. You heard? And here she go. So why did I reread that to you? Because here is Trump, and I hear all these black people, black thinkers and political analysts wasting their fucking breath, having great debates about, well, if Trump had been black, he would not have been able to run for president as a convicted felon, a 37-time convicted felon, twice impeached. First president to ever be twice impeached. How you impeach a motherfucker twice? Twice impeached. 30 times. First felon president in the history of the United States. How that happened? You feel me? Because their fucking religious idolatry, their religious dogma teaches them there is no crime for which males who are the representative of God in heaven on earth are not allowed absolution. There is no crime that they are not allowed absolution. This is why all these people around the United States, white, black, brown, red, and yellow, traipsed out to the polls to put his ass in office, because in him in Trump they see God the Father. It's familiar to them. The rage of God the Father they see in Trump. It's familiar to them. The rage of the Old Testament God the Father. The rage of the belligerent supporter of genocide, perpetrator of genocide, calling for genocide. He is familiar to us all who have been indoctrinated by Abrahamic religions, who all hold the Old Testament as the true nature of God the Father. And so he had to send his son as a more effeminate version of himself, as a softer, nurturing version of himself. The warring, raging, maniacal fucking God we all relate to. It's all the stories of the Old Testament that speak to us. The power of the raging God to down the walls of Jericho. The raging war thirst of the original Abrahamic God. To kill the innocents, because their wicked and wilding ways may jump on God's chosen people. So you have to smite them all. The raging war God. All throughout. What was the Old Testament? Shit. Damn near, let's see. 25. Damn near 5,000 years of human history. The Old Testament. You understand? This is why people, why are you political analysts acting as if, but again, I told y'all a few weeks ago, the fact that these political activists, these revolutionaries, these hardcore political analysts, these socialists, these Marxists do not study religious history and the impact that it has on politics, you will always have a one-sided and very myopic and narrow view of what's happening in real time. You sitting here trying to analyze why regular, everyday, working class people who are suffering under the weight of capitalism, suffering under the weight of oligarchy, would go and vote against their own interests. And it is because you are not speaking a language that they resonate with. All these people went out to vote for Trump because they understand his language. His language was what? I am a representative of God on earth. I will be familiar to you in my ramblings, in my ragings. I will be familiar to you in the face of God that was a war God, that was a megalomaniac in the Old Testament. This is who you are familiar with. So this is the language I got to speak. I can't be speaking the language of Jesus. This ain't the period for the language of Jesus. That's what Trump say in his behavior, in his action. This ain't the period for Jesus. This the period for your Old Testament God the Father, who would force Abraham to walk his baby up a mountain with the ambition to slay his child to show his devotion to God the Father. This is, y'all need the God the Father that is paramount in the time of Revelation, the raging God who gives you visions of the greatest horror story ever written, the Revelations. That's the God the Father y'all need right now. Because y'all ain't being compliant enough. And Jesus ain't cutting it. Love and light ain't cutting it. I need to speak the language of the OG. That's what he said. I need to speak the language of the OG. Because y'all ain't being compliant enough. And I know that when I speak fear and rage and war and genocide, this is some shit that will force you to comply. Bend to my goddamn will. This is the language y'all understand. And with all the raging, with all the screaming, with all the condemning, with him functioning in real time as the Old Testament God, saying, you insolence over here, you bugs, you maggots, you vermin over here, you gays and trans over here, you blacks and Mexicans over here, you pointing his magical invisible scepter to condemn all that would test his right to rule. That's what he did. That's what he did with this election. That's what he did with this election. He emerges after a flimsily scripted assassination attempt as what? Victorious. He who has escaped the reigns of death. Why? Because I am God's representative on earth in this moment. And y'all do not understand what you are witnessing in real time. A tapping into your old ass conditioning. Even if your ass ain't been in church in 30 years, your conditioning was tapped into by this dude's campaign. Yes, it was. Your childhood indoctrination was tapped into by this guy's campaign. Yes, it was. The fear that terrorized you as a child when you first saw Charlton Heston play Moses in the 10 Commandments, and that shit terrified the fuck out of you, watching this story become real on TV, seeing the angel of death descend out of the sky. A hole opens up out of the sky and literally kills the firstborn of all the goddamn Egyptians. That was a horror story implanted in your memory. Y'all, I'm telling y'all, all these people who ran out and voted for Trump, guess what they were in real time? They were sleeper cells. That's what they were. They were sleeper cells. Even those who thought that their childhood terrors and abuse, religious abuse, had been dealt with in therapy, and still went out because of his economic plan or his plan for America, or he just wants to make America great again. You are sleeper cells. Yes, you are. You are no better than the Manchurian Candidate. That's what happened to y'all. And because socialists and Marxists, Leninists and revolutionaries, so-called political activists do not ever study how religion has been the primary weapon of the state. Religious ideology has been the primary and most effective instrument of conquest. And because you don't study that, you will stay forever behind the opposition. If you aren't having a conversation about how Trump tapped into those deep foundational conditionings that we all suffered from as children, even if your ass is an atheist now, you live in a world where Christianity, Islam, and Judaism run the fucking planet. Every aspect of your life is dominated by these traditions. They impact and imprint on you whether you went to church or not, whether you went to synagogue or not, whether you went to the goddamn, what you call that shit? The mosque, the ashram, any of that shit. These Abrahamic and fucking patriarchal traditions have imprinted on your cellular DNA. They are in you. And if you aren't daily doing the work to deconstruct that shit, your ass is a sleeper cell. Your ass is a sleeper. And all somebody has to do is trigger that thing in you, and you will do the bidding of your opposition. Yes, you will. What did I say? American patriotism is Stockholm syndrome, and y'all are all sleeper cells, victims of America, while at the same time supporting and conducting the aims and objective of your oppressor. That's what you did. That's what you did. That's what you did. And I can say something more controversial, but I ain't trying to hurt y'all feelings too deep tonight. You understand? You understand? She said that shit. She said that shit. Y'all keep acting confused about why priests and preachers can still get off and get off and get off and get off and get off for crimes against children, for crimes against women. Y'all still act confused. Y'all still act confused about P. Diddy. I told y'all, this period represents a peak in this slow crescendo of patriarchy. The slow crescendo has at any given period in human history had the face of patriarchy be some colored man. White nationalism and patriarchy are the peak and most recent personification of patriarchy on earth. But white nationalism and patriarchy aren't synonymous. White nationalism is the grandchild of patriarchy. Because at any given period in history, even today for that matter, but okay, we'll say in history, patriarchy's face has been brown, patriarchy's face has been black, patriarchy's face has been yellow, patriarchy's face has been red. Yes, it has. Yes, it has. Right now, we're looking at the peak personification in human history, which is not white nationalism. That's what we're looking at. You understand? God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit is the peak personification of patriarchy in the world. It's the peak personification. The complete removal of the feminine. The complete removal of the feminine in the creative force on this realm. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. You understand? And so when she says, recognizing this slow move upwards, this crescendo of patriarchy, which cannot save anyone from the ails of a patriarchal society, she said, does this mean then that the women's movement points to, seeks, or is in some way constitutes a rival to the Christ? Absolutely. Listen, absolutely it does. Let me tell you about Mary, y'all. Because I've been teaching y'all this for 4 years now. 4 years now. On another but related level, Michelet wrote that the priest has seen in the quote witch. That's why all these people are having these conversations about the emergence of witchcraft in music, witchcraft in cinema, witchcraft, because there can't be nothing on earth worse than a witch. Not within a patriarchal society. There can be nothing worse on earth than a witch in a patriarchal society, because the witch has the power to contend, not only to contend, but to win the minds of others away from the patriarch. You see, that's why the Inquisition, that's why the age of discovery. To subdue and to murder anyone that could represent a contention to the patriarchal God. The priest has seen in the witch an enemy and a menacing rival. Do you understand? In its depths, because it contains a dynamic drive beyond Christology, Christolatry. The women's movement does not point to, the women's movement does point to, seek, and constitute the primordial, always present, and future Antichrist. It does this by breaking the great silence, raising up female pride, recovering female history, and healing and bringing into the open female presence. Let me give you a fucking word right now. Because I've been talking to y'all for 4 years about this. About how this explains everything. Everything in the universe, everything in the world, everything politically, everything spiritually, physically, mentally. This is an explanation of the entire universe, the yin and yang. And what did I tell y'all? That we are living in the age of utmost yang, that yang energy that seeks to destroy all things yin, that sun, S-O-N, that seeks to destroy its mother. That sun that seeks to destroy its mother. And that when you have an imbalance, a disharmony this sharp, the only way to resolve this disharmony is what? Healing. Healing through opposition. In Chinese medicine, it is called healing through opposition, or the healing of opposites. You flip the motherfucker all the way upside down and place the mother back on top so that she can anchor her son run amok. She can anchor her son gone astray. She can transform his destructive energy into something that can now be harmonious and life enforcing, life supporting, and life nurturing, not his excess, which becomes aggressive. His excess, which becomes destructive. I have been telling y'all for years that this philosophy, the yin and yang, explains what we're living right now. And I told you about the week that my granddaughter was born, the week my first grandchild was born in 2018, the week that she was going to be born. I went into ceremony with acid. I had not done acid in like 24 years. I was like, you know what? Let me see what can happen now that I've got this different mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm a spiritual person. Let me see what happens, what spirit has to say to me when I go into this deep dive with acid. And I told you who came to me that night. Oya came to me that night. And she told me, open up your daughter's Bible and see where I am. And she walked me through that motherfucking Bible all night. I had cracked the spine of a Bible open in 20 years. And she said, see, here I am. All these things forced upon you as a child were for a reason. Why did my daddy make me start memorizing the Bible when I was 5 years old? She said, because I wanted you to remember this moment. She said, now you see me everywhere. In this book, scripture after scripture, she taking me to, she walking me through in this fucking Bible. I was tripping on acid for 13 fucking hours, 13 hours that night. And as the sun was coming up and I am sitting in the car looking into my own eyes in the rearview mirror, she said, I have two things to tell you, Cassandra. She said, this work that you've been doing your whole life, feeding people, helping people, revolutionary work, doing to this and doing to that shit is really great. It's been really great. The things that you've been doing for your ancestors, feeding your ancestors, keeping up your ancestors' shrine, that's really nice. That's really great. She said, but if you're serious about what it is you've been called to do, if you really want to do this, she said, if you really want to set this off radically and rapidly, and I'm telling you verbatim what happened to me. If you want to set this shit off radically and rapidly, rescue these witches out these churches. That's what she said. And then the second thing she said, rescue these witches out these churches. The second thing she said, you need not fear, baby. I am the Antichrist. That's what she said in my car at 6 o'clock in the motherfucking morning on May 1st of 2018. I am the Antichrist. I am the savior of the world. That's what she said in my car. She said, you want to get this shit cracking? Rescue these witches out these goddamn churches. What did Mary Daly say? That happened in 2018. Here we are today on 11/30/2024, reading a book written by a white woman in 1973. That this, as I'm reading it, is the first time I'm reading it. Okay? And she say here, what did she say on the page before? What did she say? Hold on. What did she say? Because I've been talking to y'all for 3 weeks. Saying, don't y'all let them harvest your energy. Don't let them mine your energy. Remember, I made the what's the word I'm looking for? when I was talking about how Bitcoin mining was popular and people was like, yeah, you can Bitcoin mine and make all this money. I was like, Bitcoin mining, I said, they mining your emotions. They harvesting your emotions. It is currency. As a matter of fact, he is a president of one of the biggest AI companies on earth. And he made the statement. I don't remember what the video was that I saw, but he made the statement: in the age of information, emotions are the greatest currency. That's what he said. That's what he said. That's what he said. In the age of AI, emotions are the greatest currency. What did she say here on page 89? She said, however, I think that the most important aspect of the phenomenon has to do with the harnessing of women's power by this quintessentially hierarchical and sexist institution, especially in its periods of greatest desperation. They are not going to yield. When they're the greatest in their desperation, i.e. today, when they are the most desperate, when they are the most violent, they up the ante to attempt, even on their deathbed, to harness women's power. Especially in periods of greatest desperation, it has tried to capture female presence, i.e. run a negress with a name like Devi in her name in front of you as a distraction. I'm just saying. It says in their most desperation, they will try to capture female presence and power in a symbol. Y'all didn't want to hear that though. Y'all wanted to go and I ain't trying to hurt your feelings, but y'all wanted to go and vote for the negress. Y'all wanted to go yield power within the process to what you saw as a symbol of progress. The Negro, with a name that literally means goddess. While you talking about the goddess emerging and is going to change this shit, they distract you with a Negro whose name means goddess as a last-ditch, desperate attempt to capture female presence and power in a symbol, using this to captivate the psyches of both men and women, mesmerizing them and binding them in unquestioning loyalty to the institution. For it is not the owner and manipulator of the marionette that is so attractive to the masses, casting its spell upon them, luring them back into the churchly fathers in suffocating embrace. That's what y'all did. That's what y'all did. That's what y'all did. Everything is a mechanism to always win you back into the embrace of the great churchly fathers. Whether the great churchly fathers is Oz, everybody going out to see, what's that thing called? The Wicked Witch, you feel me? Or whatever. That whole story is about our life. And everybody's missing the boat in its interpretation. I'm gonna watch the shit tonight. But everybody is missing the boat in its interpretation. They're taking the thing as it is. But The Wizard of Oz was written by a 33rd degree Mason. It was written by a 33rd degree Mason, telling you in plain sight, we will forever own you. We will forever run you. We will forever exploit you because you cannot see what's hidden in plain sight. That we can literally play games with you in real time and you will forever be clueless. That's what it's about. So I'm going to watch this bullshit tonight because I done got about 5 emails from people. You got to watch The Wicked Witch. You got to watch The Wicked Witch, whatever. And I was like, I already know there's about to be some bullshit. You feel me? But let's go. Let's get in it. While the getting's good. What you want, boy? While the getting's good, let's get in it. Come on, because if you scratch me, we don't have a problem. Come on. Oh. You feel me? She said it in 1973. In their most desperate, they will take the image of the female, the image of the mother, the image that they are fighting against and dangle it in front of you as a symbol to win you, to lure you back into the Father's embrace, baby. That's what they did. You feel me? I suggest that the mechanism of reversal has been at the root of the idea that the Antichrist must be something evil. Y'all, I'm in here having a moment. I don't know if y'all know how deep this moment is. I don't know. I don't know if y'all know how deep this moment is. To forever, to consistently on here, be talking to you about this vision that came to me from the mother. This ain't the only vision. I'm gonna tell y'all something else that just happened. And I said I wasn't gonna say nothing about it because I didn't want to get too controversial or too deep. But I'm gonna tell y'all, since we up in here and Mary is handing out miracles right now. A week and a half ago, we've been up on that mountain and did this ritual. And I told y'all that I had not done a live. I just did it live a couple of days ago. That was the first one since that ritual because it was on me, y'all. It was on me. You understand? And I was sitting here watching something I don't even remember. But like my For You. And boy, ooh, what do you want? And the dude, it was a Christian YouTube channel that had come up. And in this Christian YouTube channel, he was talking about Lucifer, right? I don't even remember what the whole thing was about, but I remember stopping when he said this. He was talking about Lucifer being, what did he say? He was saying that when Lucifer was in heaven, right, he was an angel of light. But not only light, he said the fall of Lucifer represented this the malignancy that comes from a loss of love. He said Lucifer, quote, became evil because he was tossed out of heaven by his father who he loved. And he said he didn't stop loving his father after his father tossed him out of heaven, but that love lost, that abandonment, that being thrust out, cast out by his father became rage, became the malignancy that we know as evil. He said, but Lucifer remains. Even as we identify him as evil, Lucifer remains the God of light. Lucifer remains the angel of light. What was this light representative of? The light or the illumination that comes with knowing. Y'all ain't hearing me. The illumination. It wasn't just light. It was the light of illumination, the light of wisdom. The light that was represented by the tree of knowledge. That's what he said. He said the light still exists. He said in the Christian world, we still know that, quote, Lucifer is the God of light, right? He said that. And I automatically start to think with my other brain. Okay, Lucifer, who is Lucifer? I'm not talking about in the Bible. We know who Lucifer is based on that story I just told you in the Bible. Who is Lucifer and who is Lucifer outside the Bible? Who is the God of light? Lucifer is also called what? God of the morning, right? Who is Lucifer? Somebody tell me. Somebody tell me. Who is Lucifer? Outside of the Bible, who is Lucifer? Nope, not the sun. Who is Lucifer? Yes, Tajali, who is Lucifer? You are right, but Lucifer has a name. Lucifer has a name before Christianity, before Levitical Judaism. Who is Lucifer? God of the morning, morning star. What's his name? Pepe. What did Pepe say? What did the pharaohs say? I am the morning and the evening star. It is as I say. Who is Lucifer? Y'all ain't listening. Who is Lucifer? Who were the pharaohs talking about when they said, I am the morning and the evening star, light of the morning, God of the morning? Yes, Trail of Freedom, the light bringer. Who is the light bringer? before patriarchal religion, y'all know, and y'all gonna be like, damn, when I tell you, who is the light bringer? Who is the great illuminator? It is Venus. It is Venus. It is Venus, mother of the bull of heaven. She who is the creator of the Garden of Eden. Venus, Inanna, Ashtareth, whatever you want to call her, Oshun. Venus is the star of the morning and evening. When her cycle changes, she goes from the morning star to the evening star. Her number represented as the number 5. Because this is the cycle of Venus. It forms a 5-point star in its freaking cycle around the sun in relation to the earth. The light bringer is Venus. Oshun, Inanna, Ashtareth. These are her different names. But she has always, as a matter of fact, I just went to an exhibit at, what is the name of that big ass? There's a giant, what is the name of that damn? There's a giant museum on the beach out here. What is the name? It's big. It's like one of the biggest museums. And they had for the longest time a Mayan exhibit. And in this exhibit, they talked about how for eons, the Mayans didn't center the sun in their worship. The center of their worship for eons. The Getty, thank you, Claudia Ankara. The Getty, at the Getty Museum, they had a Mayan exhibition, and the center of their worship for eons was Venus. You understand? And so this having been the understanding, our relationship to the planet Venus and her peculiar cycle that makes her appear as a star in the morning, the rising, before the sun rises, she is seen on the horizon. And when her cycle changes in the middle of the year, she goes from the morning star to the evening star, the brightest star in the heavens. This was acknowledged in every single pre-patriarchal tradition on earth. That goddess in China was Shango. Her name was Shango in China. This energy, this anomaly that happens between us and the planet Venus was acknowledged for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. This was the center of goddess worship, the planet Venus as the mother to us all, as the progenitor, the life giver to the bull of heaven, which is Taurus. Taurus is the bull of heaven, the progenitor of the Garden of Eden. This is Venus. And so isn't it convenient that the Bible starts in the age of Taurus as the great bull of heaven is finally being subdued by the new patriarchal traditions? That's what it meant when Moses went up to Mount Sinai, the mountain of the mother moon, to see the face of God, and came down angry that the people had gone back to God, to worshiping the goddess in the form of the bull, and slayed them all before transitioning into the new warrior age, the age of Mars, the age of Rome, the age of Aries. This is the period where Rome begins to slowly emerge. What does Mars mean? It literally means, etymologically, we are the children of Mars. I mean, what does Rome mean? We are the children of Mars. And so wouldn't it be fitting that in this Bible, in this Torah, in this Talmud, in this Quran, you have to destroy any remnants of the power of the goddess by transforming her. What does she call it here? The reversal of images and symbols. Transforming her from the great primordial one, creatrix of all that is, to the Leviathan. to Lucifer, to the dragon, to the beast. Lucifer was Venus. Lucifer was Venus. And the reason I told you this story is when I'm listening to this dude talk about Lucifer, the great illuminator, Lucifer, he who illuminates wisdom and knowledge, Lucifer, who was what? Crawling up the tree of knowledge as a serpent, saying, don't you want to eat this fruit? Don't you want to be like God? Don't you want to know what God knows? Calling you away from the Father God who wants to keep you blind and in darkness. You understand? Lucifer crawling up the tree, right? Of knowledge. And this guy is going off about Lucifer, the light bringer, Lucifer, the light bearer, Lucifer, the God of light, Lucifer, the star of the morning, Lucifer, the God of earth, the God of the morning. And what did I tell y'all? It hit me so hard. I'm telling y'all, I believe my mother. I don't give a fuck what y'all say, what y'all done heard, what y'all think this is. I believe my mother. Because in all this time, it never occurred to me until this week after we did this ceremony. I know the Bible inside and out, backwards and front, better than most Christians do, better than most ministers do. And it never occurred to me in this walk we've been doing with the mother until this week. Lucifer as the God of light, Lucifer as the bringer of light, Lucifer as the illuminator, the great illuminator, he who was at the beginning, calling you to be like gods and to know and to see all things. And what does my name mean, Cassandra, that I rejected for 20 years? What does my name Cassandra mean? She who illuminates mankind. She who sees the future. She who illuminates mankind. That's what my name means. I said, oh shit. I'm sitting here listening to this dude talk about Lucifer. I'm like, oh shit. The way this shit has come together, even after 20 years of denying my name. She who illuminates mankind, whose middle name means both fae, power of the fairies, and fate, whose last name means she the gray-haired, wise beyond her years. Y'all. Anyway, I don't know if that struck y'all as deep as it did me this week, but I was having a whole ass moment. And then to read Mary today, and she's saying in 1973, she is affirming from the past what my mother told me a week before I became a grandmother, a week before I became crone in 2018. Yo, I suggest that the mechanism of reversal has been at the root of the idea of the Antichrist. Must be something evil. What if this is not the case at all? What if the idea has arisen out of the male's consciousness, the male's unconscious dread that women will rise up and assert the power robbed from us? What if it in fact points to a mode of being and presence that is beyond patriarchy's definition of good and evil? The Antichrist dreaded by the patriarchs may be the surge of consciousness, the spiritual awakening that can bring us beyond Christolatry into a fuller stage of conscious participation in the loving God. Oh my God. Ooh. Yo. Seen from this perspective, the Antichrist and the second coming of women are synonymous. This second coming is not a return of Christ, but a new arrival of a female presence, once strong and powerful, but enchained since the dawn of patriarchy. Only this arrival can liberate the memory of Jesus from enchainment to the role of mankind's most illustrious scapegoat. The arrival of women means the removal of the primordial victim, the other, because of whom the Son of God had to die. When no longer condemned to the role of savior, perhaps Jesus can be recognizable as a free man. It is only female pride and self-affirmation that can release the memory of Jesus from its destructive uses and can free freedom to be contagious. Oh my God. The second coming then means that the prophetic dimension in the symbol of the great goddess, later reduced to the mother of God, is the key to salvation from servitude to structures that obstruct human becoming. Symbolically speaking, it is the virgin who must free and save the Son. Oh my God! Whoa! God! Woo! Shit! It is the virgin who must free and save her son. Anthropologically speaking, it is women who must make the breakthrough. Damn. Child, let me give this IG a minute to come back on. The second coming then means that the prophetic dimension in the symbol of the great goddess, later reduced to the mother of God, is the key to salvation from servitude to structures that obstruct human becoming. Symbolically speaking, it is the virgin who must free and save the Son. Anthropologically speaking, it is women who must make the breakthrough that can alter the seemingly doomed course of human evolution. Oh, unlike the so-called first coming of Christian theology, which was an absolutizing of men, the women's revolution is not an absolutizing of women, precisely because it is the overcoming of dichotomous sex stereotyping, which is the source of the absolutizing process itself. Thank you, Claudia, for the donation, dear. To the degree that it is true to its ontological dynamics, feminism means refusal to be captured again in a stereotypic symbol. It means the freeing of women and men from the sexist ethos of dichotomizing and hierarchizing that is destroying us all. Far from being a return to the past, it implies a qualitative leap towards psychic androgyny. Shit. The new arrival of female presence is the necessary catalyst for this leap. As marginal beings who have no stake in a sexist world, women, if we have the courage to keep our eyes open, have access to the knowledge that neither the Father nor the Son, nor the Mother of God, nor the Mother is God, the verb who transcends anthropomorphic symbolization. Such knowledge will entail a transvaluation of values undreamed of by Nietzsche or any other prophet whose prophecy was dwarfed by secret dread of the second coming. This event, still on its way, will mean the end of phallic morality. Should it not occur, we may witness the end of the human species on this planet. Oh my God. Oh. This day. Goddamn this day. Woo! You. Oh my God. Listen, y'all. I have been in here since we did that ritual in a way, and deep in a way, like subdued in a way, like trying to figure out my life in a way, because I was so overwhelmed by what we did, trying to process what we did up on that mountain on November 19th, seeing evidence every day that, like, oh shit, did we do that? Did we do that? Like, is that because of what we did? Every single day, y'all are sending me articles, people texting me articles. Can you believe this? Did we do this? On November 19th, a handful of women, 10 on location, maybe 35-ish via Zoom on that day. And I told you that day was going to change everything. But listen, that we are reading this on this day, confirming and affirming what all y'all told me on May 1st of 2018, a week before I transitioned from mother to crone, child. Listening, just bullshitting, washing dishes, whatever the fuck I was doing. That bitch, Lucifer, is you, the great illuminator, the great knowledge bringer, she who illuminates mankind. Child, goddamn. Daughter of the fates, whose name literally came from a line of male fates. My great-great-grandfather is fate. My great-grandfather is fate. My grandfather is fate. And my oldest uncle is fate. Child, listen. Mary got me in a way today. Mary got me in a way today. Oh. These last 2 pages. Damn. Yo, these last 2 pages. That's why I told y'all. I'm going to say one more thing. That's why I told y'all. I told y'all a couple of weeks ago that I had been getting some complaints about this book, about Mary Daly, about Pure Lust, because she wrote the book Pure Lust, and my position was, and I didn't do it, but I said I was going to do a live called The Reclamation of What Is Ours. The Reclamation of What Is Ours. And I talked about this book, and I talked about its inherent flaws. There are flaws in this book because of Mary Daly being a white female, an affluent white female, and her worldview, as deep as it is in this shit we just read tonight, is still blocked by white nationalism. And we've seen evidence of it. But she, being the witch that she was, knew we was going to be up in here. She said, however long it take, she knew these bitches was going to be up in here studying, combing through her shit with a fine-tooth comb. Is it not ours? It's ours. Was her worldview shaped in isolation? The fuck no. Her worldview was shaped by the many and myriad of women that had come into her cipher, by her cipher. Her worldview was shaped by the one who gave birth to her. Her worldview was shaped by her peculiar opportunity to go to college as a devout Roman Catholic and then see from within the inherent flaws and need to destroy the institution. Her ability to see how the future how the past informs the future. And right now where I'm at, let me put these bitches on game. So even if I don't see this future that I am writing in real time, they will have all that they need. At least from my peculiar worldview, my peculiar expression as the one. This is how I'm going to contribute to this guaranteed unfolding of the future. Here, listen, yo. I'm always telling you, we read bullshit all the time. We read all kind of shit. And we take what we need from it and leave the rest. We take what we need from it and leave the rest. And here we are. If I had stopped reading this book when I got mad, I got mad the last time I read Mary Daly and was going the fuck off on Mary Daly. You feel me? Because of that bullshit she was on. If I had said, well, fuck Mary Daly, she with that bullshit, and I ain't reading no more, would we have walked into this ritual that we just walked into tonight? On the backside of the most radical goddamn ceremony we could have done. Would we have walked into this if, because it was just a week ago, I was going off on Mary Daly. Y'all remember, I was going hard. You feel me? I was mad as fuck. I was so mad that night. I was like, I'm really on the brink of putting this book away. But I know she has something for us. And if I had put the book away, would I have received this most outrageous goddamn confirmation of a vision I received and at the time didn't have no reference for this vision that y'all gave me? Would I have walked into this? She referring to the movement of women as the second coming? She referring to the movement of women as the Antichrist, as the thing that I have been talking to you about for 4 years. If this symbol, which we say is a positive symbol, it's the positive pole and the negative pole, and we stay linear like that. But if we look at this symbol as the personification of our age, our time, of utmost young, our time, politically, as the time of the desert at high noon. This is what the symbol represents. High noon, that period of the day where there is no shadow cast because the shadow is yin. High noon in the desert, no yin present. God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit. And that if this positive symbol as the cross that represents God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit, then what by default is the Antichrist? It is the primordial black or utmost yin. Midnight on a dark moon, no yang present. If this is the Antichrist, if this is a representation of the Christ, this is the Antichrist. It is your black ass primordial mother. And here, even though we can say it is based on yin and yang theory, it is your black ass primordial mother that is the answer, that is the solution, that is the antithesis that has made the whole world ill and sick. Her son run amok, her son gone astray. This theory does not say destroy your son. This theory says, females, you have to be strengthened and nurtured enough so that you can subdue your son. You can anchor your son. You can anchor him so that he is not blazing out of control and destroying everything in sight. That's what it says. The harmony of opposites. The harmony of opposites. The harmony of opposites. A strengthened mother, able to anchor her son in a way that he becomes nutritive and beneficial as opposed to unanchored and destructive. I can say that. I can say that based on the medicine that I study and I practice, that the harmony of opposites, what's the word I'm looking for? The harmony of opposites outside the individual and personified in the world would require that the mother, the great black primordial she that represents midnight and on a dark moon, no yang present, rises up to anchor. That's what the treatment says. The treatment protocol for yang, if you're an individual, for yang, the diagnosis is yang blazing out of control. Yang blazing out of control is what gives you headaches, migraines, and if left unaddressed for too long, can cause stroke and aneurysm, can kill you. Yang blazing out of control in your head, unanchored by the yin of your body. What's the most yin of your body? Your feet. And so in order to anchor, that's the treatment protocol, is when yang is blazing out of control or fire is blazing out of control, You treat the earth to anchor the young. You treat the mother to anchor the son. You treat the mother to subdue the son. What does that mean for the planet? What does that mean for the earth? What does that mean for us? I'm telling y'all all the time, and people getting their feelings all the time because you hate blackness so much that the only salvation is for us to rally around, to center, not against yourself, to center the mother, to know that when she is well, all is well, to center around the great primordial black, the great primordial she that gave rise to us all, and know that when she is well, we are all well. Do you understand what I'm saying? So if I can say that in 2024, in response to what she just wrote, I can still make the criticism. This is so profound here, what she said. Is it far-fetched then? Does this mean that the women's movement points to, seeks, or in some way constitutes a rival to Christ? Or on another level, witches are always an enemy and a menacing rival to the church, huh? Because this dynamic drives beyond Christolatry. The women's movement does point to, seek, and constitute the primordial. She can say primordial, always present and future Antichrist. It does this by breaking the great silence and raising up female pride and recovering female history and healing and bringing into the open female presence. She can say that, but she can't say we need to rally around black women. She can't make that leap. We got to rally around black-skinned women everywhere on earth, wherever the darkest skinned women are on earth. We need to be rallying around them. When they right, we right. When they are well, we are well. When they are nurtured, we are nurtured. Whatever they do, we on board with that. We gonna surround and protect that. And I keep saying this. I say black-skinned women because there's black-skinned women in the Philippines. There's black-skinned women in goddamn New Zealand. There's black-skinned women in Australia. There's black-skinned women in Thailand and goddamn Vietnam and China and Japan and India and the Americas. You understand? They may not identify as African, but their suffering is squarely tied to the original black ass primordial progenitor of us all. And her ass was from sub-Saharan Africa. That's it. She can say this profound thing in 1973, which I'm sure was crazy and cutting edge at that time. Say everything that I've been saying to you about through the medicine and so on for the last 4 years. But even she was incapable of making the leap. She even says the word primordial and still cannot make the leap. Still cannot make the leap. That if Christ, if the church, if God Father, God Son, and God the Holy Spirit is the peak personification of patriarchy in this age, which is both white and male, which is the Father and the Son with the mother completely removed from the creative process, that it only makes dynamic sense that its overturning, its undoing, its antithesis would lay in the power possessed in the bodies of those that represent the oldest of us on earth, which is black and female. She could not make the leap. And so even as I love this book, and even as I know that the two readings that we've read of her so far have been fucking not only prophetic, we have had moments reading Pure Lust where we were like, whoa, what the fuck just happened? In 1983, when Pure Lust was written, the week that we were reading in her book about the movie, which at the time was just a book, the movie, The Color Purple, the movie adaptation of The Color Purple released the same week that we were reading that we landed on that page in her book from 1983. The same thing happened with the Oppenheimer movie. The Oppenheimer movie released the day that we landed on her page in her book from 1983 about the crimes of Oppenheimer. I was like, are y'all hearing this shit? Y'all, anybody remember that? I was like, are y'all hearing this shit? This shit is crazy. I said, this shit is amazing. How the webs of time unfold and reveal themselves in real time. This book on this night, and I said the same thing when I read to you guys The Great Cosmic Mother, Rediscovering the Religion of the Earth. How that book that I have read from cover to cover like a novel 4 times never ceases to amaze me and blow my mind. It never ceases to amaze me. And it was the book, that book. Because up until that point, I was a hardcore nationalist. I didn't want to read anything by white people. I did not want to read anything authored by white people in general and white women in particular. I didn't. I was extremely nationalistic about that. And when I finally cracked open the spine of this book and read the book through, this is what gave me the position that I have on this day. While we still have unreconciled differences among us, while we still have severe unreconciled issues that exist among us, men and women, black, white, red, yellow, brown, while we still have unreconciled differences that exist among us, we are all the mother's children. We all are because we are supposed to be. Whether we remember that we're supposed to be, whether we are, completely oblivious and so out of touch with our relationship to the planet that we become cancers on her body, we become malignant tumors on her body. We all exist for a reason. She potentially speaks through each of us. And so Barbara Moore, the author of The Great Cosmic Mother, Rediscovering the Religion of the Earth, who felt so compelled to write this book, come hell or high water, that she was homeless, raising 2 children, while functioning as a fucking sibyl, as her own scribe for the divine intervention of the mother. That's what happened. She didn't have no scribes. She wasn't supported. She was no less functioning, complying to the mother's will, even to her children's detriment. And I talked to her daughter. I talked to Monica Jou's granddaughter, neither of whom had ever read the book. They were so traumatized by its authoring. Both of whom told me, listening to you read it is the first time I'm even hearing the content of the book. Thank you so much. I wouldn't have had the strength to read the book. That happened. I talked to both of them. The granddaughter of Monica Jou, who lives in Switzerland, was like, look, shit getting crazy in America. If you ever need a dugout space, if you ever need a couch to crash on, you got a home in Switzerland. That's what she told me. This book that still functions as a conduit, as a wide casted net on the globe, had a young man from Poland who was participating in our book club. Months later, called me and was like, didn't you say you live in LA? I was like, yeah, I live in LA. He's like, girl, I'm in LA. Can we meet? He lives in Poland. A world-renowned traveling artist. Participates in a few of our book clubs. And next thing you know, he's sitting in my living room in Los Angeles. This book has functioned the way the mother saw fit for it to function. A quiet call. People reaching out to me from New Zealand, from Australia, from South Africa, from freaking the Emirates. And the girl that interviewed me, the Indian sister, that's how she found me, was through the reading of The Great Cosmic Mother. So no, even if there is some shit I don't agree with, I can recognize the mother's presence, even with her daughter's limitations. Mary had limitations. We can't believe. I'm gonna tell you something. I sent most of you the conspiracies today. So check your email. Everybody who asked me for the conspiracies for the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, if you emailed me for it, I sent you an email today with both those conspiracies. But in it, I say over and over and over again, especially in the conspiracy for judgment and justice, after every single phrase, mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. Mommy and I are one. It is certain mommy and I are one. This is what it means. Mommy and I are one. In order for you to believe that, in order for you to believe that mommy and I are one, this is a hard one for y'all. In order for you to believe that mommy and I are one, you have to be able to look upon others through their limitations imposed on them deliberately, to look at every woman, every man, every person, every child, every elder that you pass and know that they too are a peculiar and necessary expression of the mother's will on earth made real. That's the work that we're trying to do. The exorcism is to unspell the world. The exorcism is to unspell the world. It is to end the isolation foisted upon us all by those who are so far gone in their malignancy that there is no redemption for them. Because there are some, just like with the human body, there is a point where cancer becomes so consuming that there is no course of action but to excise it. To forcibly remove it, and attempt to decimate the remnants of its presence within the whole. So there are those who will benefit from a global exorcism. They can come back into the mother's embrace through a global exorcism. And then there are those who are so far gone that surgical spiritual excisement from the mother is the only solution. But the reason I'm saying that is because to look at the works of Monica Zhu, Barbara Moore, Barbara Walker, Mary Daly, and to be aware of their limitations based upon this real paradigm that currently exists, and still be able to see the mother through what they wrote, still be able to hear and receive what it is in real time the mother wanted us to have through their positions of privilege, their positions of ease. These things afforded them the opportunity to think deeply. The thing I'm always complaining about is Black women need that kind of ease. Black women need that kind of protection, that kind of surrounding, that kind of support, so that our genius too can thrive uninhibited. They were afforded that through lives of luxury, not even luxury, privilege, class privilege, color privilege. Does not mean that the mother still was not able to do what she needed to do through them. This is the thing that I'm struggling with you about. And I get it. And that's why I try when it comes up. When Mary, because even in Pure Lust, not as much as in this book, which was older. But when she be with that bullshit, I check it in real time. I don't just keep moving and act like she ain't say what she said. I check it in real time, recognize her limitations, and keep it pushing, because there's gems coming through here. This motherfucker was a witch. This girl was a goddamn diviner. This motherfucking woman was a Sybil. Yes, she was. And I'm trying to tell you, if you're going to continue to rock with me, if you're going to continue to be up in the space with me, daughter of the faiths, Cassandra Floyd, she who illuminates mankind, you understand? If you're going to be up in here with me, daughter of the faiths, we, the weavers of human destiny, the bridgers of the past, the present, and the future, you're going to have to get out of your feelings. You have to get out of your feelings. You're going to have to get out of your own way. Whatever that is, however it manifests, you're going to have to get out of your own way. Whatever it is that I say that makes you uncomfortable, anything that I say that makes you uncomfortable, I'll never say anything unprincipled. I don't think I'll ever, and if I do in real time, I'll try to check myself. But I will never deliberately say something unprincipled. You understand? I will never say anything from a place of like hatred. That ain't me. That ain't never been me. Even when I'm raging out of control, even when I'm mad as hell, it ain't never come from a place of hatred. You feel me? And if you can trust that even if I say something that makes you uncomfortable, it is the evolutionary process. And Oya has not even begun to do her best work yet. And that work is uncomfortable. That work is uncomfortable. She only been up in here 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks. She has not even started her best work yet. And so, y'all, you know what I'm saying? I had somebody tell me the other day, they gonna stay off my page until I finish reading this book. Baby, you got to do what's best for your spirit. But what you think is best for your spirit is blocking your evolution. Because you should have been up in here on this reading tonight. You should have been up in here in this reading tonight. Because this is the evidence of the impact that females have on the planet as the weavers of human destiny in real time, bridging in real time the past, the present, and the future. We are the shapers of human destiny. That's a scientific statement that I am making. And that power that goes into the shaping of human destiny exists in every space, whether you had children or not, whether you actually crafted a human in your body or not. The potential, the boundless, limitless power that exists in your portal, in your uterus, changes everybody that you come into contact with. Everybody that you come into contact with, even if for a moment, they are forever changed by your presence in space. They are forever changed by your presence in the space. And then those of you who were not born with uteruses, you too have your mother's power. She christened you with her power. So you too have the power to infect, change all over the planet in every possible way. The difference is you need to learn to pay homage to your mother. You need to honor your mother. You need to thank your mother for the gift that is your personal destiny. And if y'all can't do that, this ain't the place for you. This ain't the space for you. If y'all get offended because I read some white woman book, you are not staging a contest that tenderhearted. I'm going to tell you, you are not ready for that shit you talk about. You are not staging a contest. You aren't, quote, making a revolution. You aren't overturning the system. You aren't even evolving. If I'm just talking to you and your ass so tender, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear you reading books by white women. Suit yourself, child. Explore your destiny in another space. But I'm telling you, you ain't staging no contest with the most violent opposition in the history of humanity. If your ass so tenderhearted, you can't take the words of a woman who wrote a book in 1973 trying to put your ass on game, even though she knew she would not see the future that she was drafting in real time. So, you understand? And y'all think y'all mad because I done read some book by some white woman. Wait till I get into this next book that I'm going to read. Because I'm going to read this book. I said I was going to read Mommy Wata by Mama Zogbe next. But I'm going to read what this Negro Nigerian preacher got to say about the ministry of our mother. Don't they say that? Ain't that the saying? Know your enemy, know yourself. To know your enemy is to know yourself. To know we might need to read, what's it called? The Art of War. I might need to read something simple to y'all. We might need I might need to read The Art of War to y'all. Because y'all in here tender as shit. Soft-hearted, easily offended over some shit that shouldn't even offend you. You feel me? I might need to read The Art of War to y'all. I might need to read The Art of War to you. because we have a contest to stage. And I want to be clear. The contest that I am talking about staging is not ideological alone. It's not me giving you sermons every Saturday so that you can go about your life feeling good about the cage you live in, even as it's shrinking around you. That ain't no shit I'm on. That ain't no shit I'm on. To be uncomfortable is to know that you are becoming. To be uncomfortable is to know that you are evolving. To be uncomfortable is to know that the next stage of your evolution is right on the precipice. Just like the serpent who knows, even though it's painful, that she must shed her old skin in order to become brand new. The cocoon that is suffocating the little chrysalis. And you can see her fighting like hell, fighting like hell, fighting like hell. And she can't skip that phase. She can't skip that phase if she expects to fly, if she expects to welcome her new self. And this shit got y'all comfortable with a cage, but uncomfortable with a black bitch trying to put you on game. Comfortable with the cage, uncomfortable with me. So I'm trying to tell you, I might need to read this Negro preacher, Chief Apostle Professor Vic N. Ronnie, who got some shit to say negative about our mother. And I want to know what he got to say. Because I keep telling y'all, Christians be telling on themselves all the time. I watch Christians. I watch sermons. I sure do, right up on this YouTube. I watch sermons. Because they will say more than we can ever say. They will reveal more than we could ever reveal, child. That's why I listen to the Pope. That's why I listen to the Pope. That's why I listen to the Pope. That's why I be watching these Negro preachers. Even listening to gospel music, child, listening to that shit in here. Because she is trying to reveal herself in every space, child. Yeah. So anyway, that's all I'm going to say about that. We're going to finish this book. I'm going to read to y'all again tomorrow. I'm not going to take this long, but I am going to read to y'all from Beyond God the Father and Toward the Philosophy of Women's Liberation by Mary Daly until we hammer through this book. I've been in this book way too long. But this last paragraph, these last few paragraphs on these last 2 pages, child, as a matter of fact, the whole section, the second coming of women and the Antichrist, child. Woo, woo. I might need to read them whole 2 pages by itself as a short for my YouTube. I think I might do that. Because that was some powerful preaching Mary did. Sure did. Sure did. Power Kismet said, gotta go through the mental boot camp. Baby, we ain't even left our mama house mentally yet, talking about a boot camp. Yo. What was the thing you wanted to say after the reading? This is the shortest, longest book that you've ever read. Yo, it's so true. I cannot believe how short this book is. And we have been reading on this book for 6 months, y'all. I didn't realize until today. Yeah, the very first posting I did for this book was 6 months ago. This is shameful. This is shameful. We got to plow through this book. You feel me? Let me think. Oh, what did I said I was going to say something after the read. First of all, I did that live a couple of days ago about the ritual that we did on the mountain and about the days after it with the young woman who said I was functioning in my toxic masculinity and shit. You feel me? And I got so sidetracked. And I said that in real time, like in person, I was the only Black person. Everybody else was either Native or Mexican, Mexica. But I was wrong. And I wanted to shout out Sister Kimberly Malone. She was the other Black woman. Not only was she the other Black woman in the space with me, she was there before everybody else, which is probably why in my ceremonial mind, I was only thinking about the Mexican women. They all came after this, but she came to help me with the setup. So I really wanted to take the time to shout out Sister Kimberly Malone. Kimberly Malone wasn't only present at this radical ritual we just did on the 19th. She was also the singular Black woman who accepted the invitation when I went and did that death, inception, and rebirth ceremony in the desert, where I buried them women in the dirt on the spring equinox in March. So I made it my mission today to shout her out, because I did say that the only people present were these Mexican and Native women, and Sister Kimberly, who is also an elder and who is also a doctor, was the other sister, the Black woman who accepted the invitation for this ceremony that we did on November 19th. That was one thing I wanted to say. The other thing I want to say is, for those of you who continue to hear me talk about the ceremony, we did a ritual on that night. If you want to participate in the ritual or reproduce the ritual in your own personal space, but were not able to attend, that particular ritual on that night was for women of color born with uteruses only. But now anybody can have the ceremony. What we did, how we executed it, so that you can reproduce it at your home, also with the conspiracies that we cast that night. So if you are interested in having a complete layout of the ritual that we did, what we did, the execution of it, and the conspiracies, email me at evoemetemp@gmail.com. evoemetemp@gmail.com. And I will send that to you. I am still encouraging you to make contributions and donations to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. This is work. This is work. This is work. Okay? I am encouraging you to make donations to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, especially since after the new year, we only have one other event coming up for this year as the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. I'm going to facilitate a ritual ceremony for December 21st for the winter solstice. So I will be doing an in-person winter solstice ceremony / ritual at the same location. But this sister was so hyped about what we executed on her property that she is going to give me use of the property every week for temple service. We have to start contributing, because even though she's offering it, I'm not going to use this woman's space for free while she's staging a contest right now with the city who's trying to take her shit. So we have to be diligent. We have to be disciplined, just as if we was paying rent for a building that we own, to start making donations to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence. Because as soon as this woman starts to opens her doors, because she's doing a renovation, she's giving me a space on her property. She's like, I got to put up some doors. I got to change the windows. I got to move some furniture out of here, but we'll be ready come the beginning of January. She is giving me space in on her property. This is what you call unity, spiritual unity, political unity. So we have to, first of all, be doing the conspiracies that ensure that these motherfuckers cannot take her shit. And we have to be raising the resources so that she can secure her safety, her life, and her foundation as she is yielding use of this space to us. Okay. So keep that in mind going forward. Beginning of the new year, we're going to be doing weekly, the same thing I'm doing now. We're going to be doing weekly temple services, but on location. All right. So I wanted to say that. I have not yet developed exactly. I have an idea, but I haven't yet developed exactly what I'm going to do for the winter solstice. But as soon as I do, I will be emailing you all the Eventbrite link for what we're going to be doing for the winter solstice. Okay. Is there anything else? So if you need a reading, if you need my services as a healer, I think Claudia Ankra, I got your email and I responded to it. And those things we can talk about. Okay. So if you need to reserve, like I do online consultations for my healing services, for those of you who are far away, you can still get a full consultation that will put you on the right road. Okay. I had a woman that I did a consultation for about 6 months ago, told me that she methodically carried out what I told her to do, because I give you a write-up of what you need to do, what you need to follow. I develop a protocol specific to you. And she said she followed that protocol for 3 months and was able to come off her insulin. She was insulin dependent diabetic, and she was able to come off her insulin in 3 months of following strictly the protocol that I gave her. Okay, so if you need a wellness consultation, a complete wellness consultation, if you need to get a reading, the new moon is coming right up on us. If you need to get a reading, or if you just need spiritual counseling, contact me at evoemetemp at gmail.com. That's evoemetemp at gmail.com. If you want to make a donation to the Temple of Evolutionary Emergence, you can do that through Zelle at the same email, evoemetemp at gmail.com. Speaking of which, I want to shout out Claudia Ankra again, brother, what was his brother's name? Brother Shy Boy, let me not mispronounce it. Shy Boy Shades, thank you for your donation. There was another sister I meant to mention. Oh, I have to mention you the next live because I don't remember and I can't access my Cash App right this second. But those of you who send me donations like after the fact, I try to announce those donations and those contributions during the live. So I will shout you out if I didn't shout you out this time. Okay. Those of you who are tuning in via IG, I would encourage you to find me on YouTube. My YouTube channel is at Daughter of the Fates, Fates, at Daughter of the Fates. And subscribe, share. Share my stuff. Take clips of it to share with your homies. Take clips to put on TikTok. You understand? Share this information. Okay. And I think that is all I had for you tonight. May you be blessed. May your dreams be as profound as mine have been over this last week. May your pockets be fat. I want to say that 2 days ago, keep your eyes on the news, especially those of you who participated in that ceremony on November 19th. Keep your eyes on the news. 2 days ago, a multi-billionaire of one of the oldest billionaire families, a senior Rothschild, died in his home right here in Hollywood Hills 2 days ago. 2 days ago. Keep your eyes on the news for evidence of the conspiracy we cast. That's all I'm gonna say about that. And email me those things so I can see too, so I can analyze too. Okay. I love you all. I pray for bountiful pockets that come at the expense of those who have robbed us blind. I don't pray for blind, ambiguous manifestations. I pray that your pockets are fattened at the expense of those who robbed you. I pray, I command that our wealth be radically spread, radically received, radically injected into our personal lives at someone else's expense who specifically robbed us blind. That's what it means. Our wealth comes through justice and judgment. Our wealth comes from the unleashing of our wealth generated from the hands of those who stole it. So I pray every black, brown, red, yellow person, may your bounty be radical and rapid, boundless. Yes. At the expense of those who robbed you blind. Yes, that's what I'm commanding. That's what I'm calling into the space. Radical wealth, rapidly occurring wealth. A rapid and radical overturning and unleashing of our wealth. Yes. So I'm conspiring that be made real in the present on y'all behalf. So in your comings up, You feel me? In your comings up, I'm gonna need a piece. I'm gonna need a gift. Okay? Just so you know. All right. Now I'm done. I love you guys. Now I gotta go watch this Wicked. I made the commitment to watch it tonight so I can have something to say about it. So I'm gonna watch this Wicked and let y'all know what comes of my deep dive. All right. Good night. This is Daughter of the Fates, Cassandra Floyd. Java Watson say, run me my coins. I know that's right. If I'm conspiring on y'all behalf on the regular, I'm gonna need y'all to run me my coins. Feel me? And I'm gonna need you to say my name. I'm gonna need you to tell people, don't be stealing Cassandra shit. You feel me? That shit is happening a lot these days. Cite black women. Where you heard that from? You feel me? Anyway, I'm done. All right, peace.